Hey everybody, Doug Cohen here with football alumni of Michigan. We are at the Sharon Moore Champions Circle golf outing here at the University of Michigan Golf Course. And I am joined by some quarterbacks, some current quarterbacks, a former quarterback, and we're going to talk a little bit about Michigan football, one team, one legacy, what it's all about. And I'm joined by Mr. Davis Warren, Mr. Alex Orji, and Mr. John Wangler. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for joining. Let's talk a little bit about, since we're all, well, not we, you are all quarterbacks. Let's talk a little bit about, leadership on the field and kind of commanding and leading an offense. Not necessarily just the X's and O's, but what it's like to kind of be in charge and the responsibility that comes with that.
I'm going to defer to the young guys. I want to hear your opinion first.
I would say, I think, great question, by the way. I would say, I think one thing that I think about and me and Coach Campbell have talked about and we've talked about in a room is just like the way you're a leader and the way you command respect is, it's not what you say, it's what you've done or what you do. So how you carry yourself on a daily basis, both in the weight room, on the field, in practice, the way you perform at a high level, making the right play when it needs to be made, whether that's a check down, whether that's a deep bomb, whatever it is, and being that guy that is reliable as a quarterback, I think that then carries into being a leader. And if you can be a guy who the guys know and trust and believe in, and whether it's the O-line or whether it's the running backs or the receivers, then you'll command their respect. And I think that's the best way to lead. And I think obviously sometimes things need to be said, and it's important to be a vocal leader at times, but what you do, not what you say, really defines who you are, especially in our program now. And I think it's held true with JJ. He wasn't always the loudest guy. He obviously said stuff when stuff needed to be said, but he was a guy who led by example. And on the field, you could trust him to make the right play, obviously do the thing that needed to be done, and it showed itself because everyone trusted him in the biggest moments. So.
Yeah, I think just in general, like piggybacking off what Davis said, the dynamic of leadership in our over our past 6 months has been pretty interesting, just because none of the quarterbacks in our room with such a leadership-based position, none of us have started a game for Michigan before. I think that a lot of the time it's based on what you do. Something that anyone in our program, a phrase that we could finish is that your action speaks so loud, I cannot hear what you say. And so, like he said, it's about what you do, not what you say. And I think every quarterback, it's kind of once you ease into it, gets comfortable, especially in our program, the way that we've been with our room, has been a major leader in the weight room and in our training and and everything off the field, which gives us somewhat of a platform, somewhat of a podium to speak our truth and talk to guys about certain things we feel, attention to detail, stuff like that. And so it's been good to have that platform. But then when you get into spring ball, get into fall camp, and it's like they don't really know who to listen to, because whether this guy's a starter, whether it's that guy, we kind of created a comfortability and a trust between us and the other position groups, especially the offense, where they listen to all of us. They listen to what we say, because there's a certain level at which we conduct our business and the way that we handle the things that we do that's been I think it's been at a high level, just because of the guys that we're around. Me being able to bounce off Davis and Davis off Jaden and Jaden off Jaden and Tut. Everyone in the room just we're kind of just bouncing off each other and feeding off each other within the way that we lead and the way that we communicate with the other position groups.
Yeah, I mean those the points that you guys made about example, right? And the great thing about quarterback's the greatest position in sports, and with that comes the greatest responsibility. Being the first one out to practice, the last one to leave, doing all the little extras. All the guys on the team are feeding off of you guys, right? And I think in the past, and it really was evident the last few years, we've had some great leadership at that position. We've had great athletes there. Sometimes we haven't had the greatest leadership, and when we have our best teams, it's when we've had our quarterbacks were our best leaders. It's not that you have to be the best player, but the guy's got to trust you. And in football, you pretty much, your teammates know you, your strengths and your weakness. You can't fool them. And so you got to be genuine. You got to be there every day for them. You got to be consistent, and they got to believe in you. And when it's you got to make that 80-yard drive in November against the Buckeyes, right? And you're in the huddle and you got to look them in the eye, and they got to believe that you're going to take them to the promised land.
Yep.
And that's why, that's the beauty about this position. It's the strength and the curse. You see how many mistakes they make in the NFL draft in the first round. You got some great physical specimens, but they may not be the best leaders. They may not have all the intangibles, and that's what makes it such a wonderful position. But leadership is really number one. And I think you guys are both competing for one job, you know? And, you know, the coaches are going to make a decision. I think, you know, and I went through some great quarterback battles here. There's been some epic ones over the years. But the fact that you guys got to be on the same page, and they got to believe, right, that position, there's been a level of excellence and expectations. And when he's in, you got to pull for him. When you're in, you got to be together, right? And that's as hard as that is, because we all have an ego. We all want to be the guy, right? But you got to be together, because the teammates will feed off of that, and that's what makes Michigan great is the team aspect, and that's what starts with the quarterback.
Yeah, 100%.
Great stuff. So let's pivot a little bit to talking about what it means to be a Wolverine, and I specifically want to ask you three the process of becoming a Wolverine, because the answers are going to be a little bit different. John's from Michigan. The two of you are not from the state of Michigan. So when you made the decision to become a Wolverine, what that's kind of meant to you to be one, to become one, whether it's something that you grew up around in your hometown, or whether it's something that you came from elsewhere to do, and now that you've done it, what it's meant to you to be one, maybe what it means to you back in your communities at home. Talk about that a little bit.
For me, coming from Texas, didn't know a ton about Michigan growing up, but knew it was, always a damn good football program. And coming from a Nigerian household, always knew that it was a remarkable school. I think that the first time that I thought I knew I was a Wolverine was probably my first fall camp. After going through spring ball, stuff wasn't always the easiest, but, having good guys in the room around me, definitely made it better. But I think that the first fall camp was when I realized, like, everyone around me is really pulling for me, and when I see them do well, it makes me extremely happy, like, legitimately. And I was like, this is what, being a family is all about. I've been a part of plenty of families in my life, I feel like, but being a part of the Wolverine family felt different that first fall camp, because I knew that everyone around me was an elite athlete, a person of elite character, elite student, and so it was awesome to realize that we were all extremely well-rounded and doing everything really well, while also wanting each other to do even better. And then the moment that I knew legitimately that I was a Wolverine was, I would say, last spring, whenever JJ was getting comfortable, ready to take us to a natty. Tuttle had came into the room. Me and Jaden were, getting a little more comfortable with just playing Michigan quarterback. And then Davis was, being the great example that he always is with his arm and the way that he operates at quarterback. And so I feel like being a Wolverine to me was looking around and realizing that everyone in the building and everyone around me is, a pro at every single individual thing that they do. Coach Kirk Campbell teaches us that the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And so seeing everyone do what we do and operate and conduct our business at an extremely high level all the time, while also pushing for each other, was what wearing the Maize and Blue really meant to me. And I think that we talked about it last spring, going into this past fall and then this spring, how important it was to take pride in wearing the winged helmet and wearing the Maize and Blue, repping the block M on Saturdays, but also every day from Saturday to Saturday and season to season. And so I think that all those things together, for me, is what built that brand of being a Wolverine.
What an answer.
It was huge. I think that it took a while to realize, but it was important.
Good stuff.
What about you, Davis?
I would say, growing up in Southern California, I mean, the football culture isn't quite the same.
You want to be a surfer, right?
A little bit, not really, but grew up in a surf town, you could say. Actually, Coach Harbaugh moved in about 5-6 blocks away from me out there now, so it's a football town now, that's for sure. And I grew up UCLA fan. My parents went there, so wasn't quite the same level. But I think when Coach Harbaugh called me and told me that he wanted to have me on the team after everything I went through in high school, I was just blessed for the opportunity. And I didn't really know what it meant, kind of like what Alex said, to be a Michigan man or to be a Wolverine. But I think that was something that Coach Harbaugh really stressed in every meeting, in every practice, every time he was just talking to us or talking about a memory he had of being at Michigan. He was, to me, is the best example of a Michigan man there is maybe in the whole world. And so understanding the power that and the importance of that title, and for him to then, after I think a couple of years, he ended up doing something where he didn't separate the team, but said who he thought was already a Michigan man and put me on that list. Like, that meant a lot to me. And that's something that I didn't take lightly. And then being around this community of football alumni, of fans, of the whole state of Michigan, when we took that trip around Michigan and we were in Sault Ste. Marie, and there was people waiting for us at the Sioux Locks at 8 in the morning when it's 45 degrees in late July with Michigan flags, and you realize how deep this fan base goes. That just really proved to me that, man, this is a special place. And then exactly what Alex said about in the building and the type of guys that we have, and man, every single one of these guys could be my kid's like godfather. Like, that's really how I feel. It's just a great group of men, and I'm honored to be a part of it, and a group of guys who, man, I don't know if there's a finer group of gentlemen in the country than in that. And I think that's what Coach Harbaugh wanted, and now that Coach Moore is like, he's doing it, is bringing in guys who want to be here, who you want to be around, and who want to be great. And when you have those three, then everyone feels comfortable and everyone feels around like-minded people, and everyone can go in the same direction. There's no, like we say, cut drag. There's no drag on this train. We're full steam ahead, and so that having that feeling of being a Michigan man and a part of a group like this, it's a real special thing.
That's you guys. I think you start to know it now, but you're part of the greatest fraternity in the world, Michigan football, and you'll appreciate it more when you get older. You get my age, but I grew up in Detroit and came here, and I didn't really understand it, until you get here. And I was fortunate to be a part of 4 Big Ten championships, and we won a Rose Bowl. But the seniors taught us how to be Michigan guys, right? And they had been, like you guys now, your responsibility, because you've won. And when we went through that tough stretch, we didn't have guys who had won championships who could teach you what it is to be a Michigan guy, to be consistent, to play at a high level. And Jim's did a hell of a job coming back. I knew your coach when he was 13. His dad, Jack, was our secondary coach. And I used to play basketball with Jimmy and John over at the IM when they were little kids. And so
probably pretty good.
Jimmy wasn't as good as he thought, but he wasn't bad. But no, and to see, and he played for Bo, right? And Bo really instilled that in us, and he was able to impart that to you guys, and now it's your duty to carry it on, right? And I just think Michigan has always been a special place. What separated us from a lot of other schools, when I go around the country and try it out, professional football, talk to other guys, they don't have the same bond and the same fraternity that we all do, right? You guys could call me up. I ate the same dirt you did. I know what you guys went through. You know what I went through, even though it was 100 years ago, right? Yep. You call me up, I'd do anything for you guys, right? I don't know you from Adam, really. I mean, I watch you play and cheer you on. But that bond and that family atmosphere, I think, is what really separates Michigan. Not only is it a great academic school, but what you go through and what you accomplish academically as well as athletically, and the level that we're expected to be at, that forces that bond. When you guys win a national championship, that no one will ever take that. That bond is unbreakable, right? Those guys are your brothers for life. And that's what being Michigan. And then when you get older, you give back, right? We try to help you guys any way we can, because that's what it's all about, is helping others who are part of your family. So, no, it's a wonderful thing to be a part of, and I'm glad you guys chose to come here, right? From Texas and California. I mean, you could have been a Brew and had a little stupid bear on it. And who knows, Alex could have been a long one.
No shot.
All right, well, hey, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and checking this out. Football alumni of Michigan, Champions Circle, Sharon Moore golf outing here at University of Michigan Golf Course. It's going to be a great day. Go Blue, gentlemen.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Thanks for having us.